Are you tired of hearing femcels say kill all men? But at the same time, are you tired of your friends degrading you for crossing your legs when you sit down? Tired of the very prison that comes with the title of man? Well, you came to the right place. Welcome back to another episode of Malcriada, Thoughts of a Girl in a Sick World. And what a sick, sick world it is. This is your host, Citlari Mengarejo, here to talk to you about all things femme, fair, and feared. Thank you so much for being here. This episode is strictly in defense of young Latino boys, so stick around. Go for a walk, doodle on some paper, maybe clean your room while you listen to this episode. Okay, big fat disclaimer for all the girlies and the femmes who are listening to my show. Thank you, by the way. This episode is in defense of Latino boys, children, niños, chiquitos, not men, not the men, okay? This episode is not to excuse any toxic behavior or abuse that you have experienced at the hands of a Latino man, but to focus on the children because we have to attack the problem at its root. I can't really do much for grown men who have already, had the be a man propaganda beat into them, literally. I can't save you, babes. Sorry, only therapy can do that. But our boys are not the problem. Our boys are being hurt and ridiculed, and as an older sister, I cannot stand for that. And I'm sure that a lot of you have other younger brothers who are also victims of bullying and machismo in their own homes and especially in schools. Okay, disclaimer done. So, without further ado, in defense of Edgars. Okay, so first of all, what is an Edgar? At its most basic definition, according to slang.net, an Edgar is a young Latino boy or teenager, often seen with a hairstyle that combines a bowl haircut with a high fade. This term was popularized as a meme in 2019 and then I don't know how to pronounce that. And then, made into a trend on TikTok early in like the 2022s and por ahí, to poke fun at the, stereotypical look. In the Edgar is not just a haircut, it's cultural heritage, and here's why. An article written by Yamili Habib, the men of the Jumano tribe, dominant in Texas, New Mexico, and Mexico between the 1500s and 1700s, wore a very similar haircut. So, meaning it has indigenous roots. But I'm not really here to talk about the haircut or even the meme surrounding it. Us Mexicans can take a joke and maybe throw a better one at you. I'm here to defend these young boys. The boys called Edgars, the boys that people call tacuaches, because those are the boys here in the valley. Those are the boys that I know. And these boys think that they have to abide by such outdated norms that limit their self expression and therefore limit their happiness and freedom. So I'm talking to the boys right now, okay? Do you feel like you're always having to perform? Like you have to behave how the world tells you to? Do you ever wonder what it would be like if you were just allowed to be? Let me know if this sounds familiar. ¿Por qué lloras, cabrón, eh? Los hombres no lloran. Eso nada más para las huercas, cabrón. Órale, si no te doy una razón para que llores. I saw my dad treat my older brother like that. He swore that he'd never become like my father, but he ended up becoming the thing he hated most. He committed the same acts of violence as him, as many other boys. Violence against their families, strangers, and even themselves, because they don't know how else to express what they're feeling. And I was too young and impressionable to defend them at the time. I thought that that's how the world worked and how it should be. And that's just how men are treated. But then I grew, and I learned, and matured. And I realized that that was not fair. That was not okay. I defended my little siblings from that kind of behavior from my dad. I was hated for it. But I figured, hey, it's okay. I can take being yelled at and told that I'm crazy. People do it all the time, anyways. But not this little boy. Not these babies. They deserve protection. He deserved protection. And if any of this felt similar or familiar in any way, I'm sorry. And you deserve protection. You deserve to be safe. But not every little boy has an older older sister to protect them. They end up becoming just like their dads if they don't. Usually, passing on the suppression of their completely normal emotions. And the schools down here in the valley are full of kids who just attack each other, both verbally and physically. So let's break it down. Why are our boys like this? Though there are many reasons, I narrowed it down to the main big three ones. Number 1, sexuality forced on boys at a young age. Number 2, anything feminine is degrading. And number 3, violence and anger is the only way. And before I get into it, just a little warning, I'm going to be talking about really graphic topics regarding the things I mentioned before. So just a little heads up. Alright, so let's start. Number 1, sexuality forced on boys at a young age. Similar to how girls are told that their value and their worth is based on keeping their virginity, boys are told that their worth is based on how fast they can get rid of it. It's just another form of grooming. And oh my god, Z, what the fuck is grooming? Like, you're talking about, like, what the fuck is that, bitch? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Let me tell you. Grooming is when an adult forms a connection with a child, or a preteen, or a teen, or already has a connection with them, and then forces the child to do things that they don't want to do. Usually it revolves around sexual things. Many fathers encourage or basically force their sons to have sex before they're ready. Many mothers just stand by and do nothing because, again, that's what they think is the right thing to do. There's so many examples of this in real life, in shows and movies. For example, many fathers sometimes hire prostitutes for their minor sons to lose their virginity. And these boys are probably thinking, oh, it's okay, because my dad said so, and I want to make my dad proud. This leads to many boys being hypersexual. But because they're boys, this hypersexuality is overlooked and not taken seriously. And it's sick. And fuck that, okay? You don't have to do any of that shit. Writer Emma Flint quotes, hypersexuality isn't a dirty word, nor is it this sex-crazed idea that people have formed. It's a real response to traumatic experiences. And I can speak from experience about that. I was sexualized by my family ever since I can remember, and they would always comment on my body, and my parents would literally call me like sexy, like as a child, and they would say like, oh, you don't have an ass. Like, dude, I was 8, like, why are you worried that I don't have an ass, And my older sibling also groomed me, and no one believes me. It's been really hard to come to terms with, because if I tell my story and my therapist just stares back at me with her mouth just wide open, I think I should believe her when she says that I was groomed and neglected. And this doesn't even include the grooming and assault that I experienced outside of my house. And to this day, no one believes me. And no one has defended me in the same way I defend everyone. So, I know a thing or two about what it's like to not be believed. To end things off on this topic, I'd like to say, you don't have to lose your virginity to be considered a man, okay? You create what a man is in your own way. Your value does not diminish if you haven't had sex, and if anyone tries to tell you otherwise, or make you feel guilty for not wanting to, just literally look at them super disgusted and be like, what the fuck, weirdo? Why the fuck are you even asking me that? That's fucking weird. because sex is a personal and intimate topic. Que le valga madre, like fucking weirdos, like ugh. And I believe you guys. Anytime you might have thought, that made me feel uncomfortable, that's your intuition speaking, okay? Listen to it. Alright, next topic. Anything feminine is degrading. Okay, this is a really big one because our boys get ridiculed for literally the dumbest things, like crossing your legs when you sit down, wearing pink, or liking sweets. I don't know if you guys have seen that video where like it's like a group of guys and they're out having a good time with their friends and everyone got like a pineapple, a drink that's served in a pineapple. I'm sure it's a piña colada. And they're living it up. They're having fun with their little pineapple drinks. It's fun and cool and nice. And then the guy's recording all their friends and he's like, you could never catch me with a drink like that because I'm not a female. Where's the correlation? That makes no fucking sense. Because you drink something sweet, something out of a pineapple, automatically that takes away your man card? Please make it make sense because it doesn't. Anyways, but what do all those things have in common? They are associated with the feminine, aka only things girls are allowed to do, which is bullshit. At the end of the day, I think the reason so many boys are so cautious about only acting in masculine ways is because of fear. Fear of being called gay, fear of being seen as weak, fear of not being accepted with the other boy groups in their schools or even in their families. But let me tell you something. You shouldn't think of femininity as a downgrade. Because if you do, you think that all women and all girls are less than you. If you carry this belief system, you are degrading not only a part of yourself, but the women in your life as well. And that is not okay. This doesn't help anyone because femininity is not bad or good or whatever. It just is. It's not degrading, it's beautiful and it's for everyone. It doesn't matter what kind of genitals you have, like give a fuck, you know? We all carry the feminine and masculine within us and we can express that however we want. And let's think about this for a second. When I say, oh, everyone has the feminine and masculine behind us, it's not because like you're just born with those two things, you know what I mean? It's because you have your mom and your dad. Whether they like it or not, and then everyone has their mom and their dad. They carry that inside them. They came together to make you because when the feminine and the masculine like collide and harmonize, they create something beautiful. And that's you. They created a child. And you can do that. You can do with that whatever you like. And not just what others tell you to do. And not because others shame you into being something you don't want to be. But hey, if you like that stuff, that's perfectly okay too. But what I'm saying is to be more secure in yourself. If you feel comfortable, not uncomfortable. If you like crossing your legs when you sit down because it feels nice, you feel comfortable, you like that, and others make fun of you, literally tell them que te valga madre como me siento pendejo, like, ¿por qué estás tan pendiente de mí? Like, why are they so worried about it? You know? And that's when you start thinking and realizing, like, it's just a projection of themselves. Because no man wants to be ridiculed. No boy, no teenager wants to be seen as the outsider. No one wants to be poked and made fun at. But sometimes that's necessary because it gives you a chance to stand up for yourself and be secure in what makes you feel good and what you are comfortable in. Okay? Yes. I know it's really easy to just abide like what everyone else is doing, but that's their way of getting their validation and praise. Something they probably don't get at home. Like when okay, a little story. I used to be a financial aid instructor at a high school. I won't say which high school, but I would see a lot of these boys like they wouldn't. They would always be so worried about what other kids will think, and they were like, if they were good students, they were made fun of. Like if you were organized, they were made fun of. Kids were scared to come to get help at the Go Center. And if you don't know, a Go Center is like a college help center where we help kids, like, you know, with testing, with financial aid, to apply to colleges, all that. The kids were scared of like getting going to ask for help because, oh, boys don't ask for help, men don't ask for help. They figure it out on their own. That's crazy. That's crazy because like these kids would not give up opportunities just to be liked. But at the end of the day, all those people, you're not going to be surrounded by all those people when you're grown. You're going to be by yourself in your own house, and you get to create whatever you want, and you get to set the rules that you want. And yeah, like it's just crazy how kids would just automatically think like, oh yeah, if you ask for help, you're a pussy, you're a bitch, or this. No, 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 no. Fuck that. Fuck that. And anyone with actual logic and who has done any critical thinking will tell you everyone needs help because we're human and we're a community, and that's what this podcast is about: helping each other be better, especially here in the valley, because I think that's what we need. And I guess this episode was because I see so many boys in our streets, like the friends of my little siblings, just be so unsafe when I hear the stories of these people, these kids who just want to be loved, just want to be accepted, just want to have a place. And sometimes their homes aren't a safe space for them, you know? I know my home wasn't a safe space. And it saddens me, truly saddens me, when I think of other kids in that same position. And this is just my way of saying, like, hey, it's okay. And you're not worth less because you act this way, or because you like pink, or maybe you're a boy, you don't like the traditional things boys like. That's okay. Or you don't act like how your dad wants you to act. It's okay. And I feel like it needs to be said specifically for Latino boys because our machismo in our culture is so fucking heavy, and there's just something needed to be said, okay? Something just needed to be said. Alright. And the last topic. Violence and anger is the only way. So, as I mentioned before, boys are told that violence and anger are the only ways they can show emotion. Violence against family, strangers, and themselves. For example, if your father was abusive to you and your mother, naturally, you're probably gonna be violent against your family in the future, whether it's your spouse or your kids, or both. But I want you to remember what it felt like when your dad was yelling at you, like how I did the example back then. It doesn't feel good, right? It made you feel small. It made you feel scared, unsafe. You're scared of the very same person who is supposed to protect you. Violence against others can be seen as bullying, picking on kids, boys or girls that express that femininity. For example, there's so much bullying of queer kids down here, and it's this. I want you guys to understand that it's the same thing. Your dad yelling at you, telling you not to cry, telling you not to be this way, is the same thing as kids picking on the queer kids at school. because you're policing them on what they can't and cannot do with their bodies. You're limiting their self-expression. And I'm trying to like make a connection saying it's the same type of violence. It's the same thing that makes you feel so bad, that makes you feel safe. That's the same thing that's being shown in schools. Not by the teachers, but honestly, sometimes by the teachers. And I want you guys to listen when I say this. This meaning like that it's just machismo. It's bigotry. It's violence. It doesn't do anyone good. It just doesn't. It puts everyone on alert. It puts everyone on constant like attack mode, survival mode. When yes, even though we are natural, beings, we're animals, we created this society so we wouldn't have to worry about that stuff. Because quote unquote, humans evolved and we're better than that. Then why are we still treating each other like we're animals? You know? Anyways. Another example is also the bullying of your friends. And I get that every friend group, jokes around with each other and whatever. But I feel like a lot of boyfriend groups, like at least the ones that I've witnessed, just pick someone to just shit on. And that's just the butt of everyone's joke. It's usually like quote unquote the weaker one, the most feminine one. That's not okay. Boys should It's okay to love your friends. It's okay to be there for them. It's okay to be supportive of them. It's okay. You don't have to be shitting on each other every 2 seconds. And yes, obviously, like, you're gonna have your fun. I'm not saying, oh my god, stop fucking joking with them because they have feelings. No, no. I get it. You're kids. But at the same time, just be wary of how maybe that's affecting them. And your friends should be your support system. Your friends are people you pick, the family that you pick. If you're just going into a friend group because you don't want to be alone, that's not a good way to put it. That's not a good way to go about it. You get to pick who your friends out. You get to pick who your outside family is. And you need to feel safe. You deserve to feel safe. And it's just like so many young boys take it upon themselves to police each other on what to do with their bodies. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. And lastly, there's violence against themselves. Because so many boys suppress their emotions, they often find ways to just numb themselves. Because they're not allowed to cry. No, fuck. Boys can't cry, right? So what do boys do in order to not feel these emotions? They numb themselves with drugs, with drinking, addictions to things. And there's like kind of a long stretch, but not really, with video games. And they damage themselves because you're a pussy. You're a pussy if you don't drink, bro. You're a pussy if you don't smoke, bro. You're a pussy if you don't fucking pop this fucking Xanax. Like, do you guys see the connections? And that makes me so sad because I feel like, yes, like, video games is a totally normal hobby. And if you like video games, go for it. But at the same time, don't numb your mind with it, Don't use it as an escape. I feel like so many boys use video games as an escape from their reality. And I get it. Fuck, I get it. And even though I'm not a guy, something I used to escape reality was books. I know, fucking nerd. I would read all the time. I would paint. And I wouldn't play video games because, that's a boy thing. And honestly, because my fucking hand-eye coordination is terrible. I'm better with my feet. I like kicking things, that's why I played soccer. But yeah, I feel like a lot of like boys that I've known, especially here in the valley, all they do is just drugs, alcohol, and play video games because they want to numb themselves. And I just feel sad. I just feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for the kids. If you're a grown ass man, like that's something different. Like go to fucking therapy. Like I don't know what to tell you. I'm speaking to the kids. I'm speaking to the teenagers because I don't want you guys to end up like something you didn't want to end up like. Like I didn't want to end up like my mom. I'm sure my older siblings didn't want to end up like my dad. And yet they are, you know? If you clicked on this episode, I want you to know that you are worth it. I want you to know that fuck anyone who tells you what to do and what not to do with your own body. And you can do whatever you want, okay? People are gonna fucking shit on you no matter what, dude. No matter fucking what. There's gonna be dickheads, okay? And I know I'm a woman. I hate saying that word because I don't feel like a woman. Like, it feels like a woman is like a grown woman who has her shit together. I feel like a 17-year-old who doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. But as a woman, you're probably thinking, oh, what do you know? You're a girl. We're not so different, you know? Just a little bit of tweaks here and there, and, you know, the fact that more men are in power than women. There's an off balance there, but we have a lot of similarities, like usually opposites. Like men, like how I said before, men are shamed if they don't lose their virginity, versus women are shamed if they do. But at the same time, I'm also shamed if I don't. You know, I'm a whore if I have sex. I'm horrible. I'm the worst fucking scum of the earth. But the men, they're amazing for having sex. But at the same time, a lot of them aren't men. They're little boys. If you're 17 or less, 18, even 18, I feel like, and you already have like 10 bodies, I'm not gonna be disgusted by you. I'm kind of concerned because how early did you start? And if you are probably like, nah, it's okay, it's whatever, like, fuck bitches get money, like, yes, but check in with yourself. Be honest with yourself. At the end of the day, you only have yourself. No one can help you but you. In the emotional sense, in the healing sense, and it's okay to ask for outside help in order to get there. But you have to admit to yourself first. And yeah, I decided to make this episode because I hate the environment and the fucking sex wars that are happening right now, where it's like, oh, you're a high value man, you me. Oh, you're high value woman, me. Oh, fuck! Like, leave me alone. Like, can I just be? Can you just let these kids be? Can they just be children? I always hear boys will be boys, right? And I'm sure you guys have heard this before. But I always hear it in the context of boys committing like assault or crimes. And they say, oh, it's because boys will be boys. That's just what boys do. No. Boys will be boys should be, oh, yeah, look, we're playing fucking wrestling. We're wrestling, or we're we're playing parkour. Or when I think of boys will be boys, I want it to just be little kids, boys, children, just goofing off and doing innocent things, having fun, and not having to police each other of, bro, don't fucking do that because that's fucking gay. Fuck that, bro. Fuck that. Okay? It feels like too often our boys are demonized before they're even given the chance. And on behalf of women, I know there's a lot of girls who are like, oh, kill all men, oh, all men are trash. You have to understand that that's a reactionary thing, meaning like that's just girls reacting to how they've been treated forever. And though it's not okay to say, it's because a lot of us have all just been victims of the violence that is machismo. A lot of girls are just cheated on, you know what I mean? And just mistreated in relationships. And here's the thing, I feel like a lot of boys are just seeking relationships to have sex and to be loved and to be validated as a man, whereas girls are seeking relationships just because they want to be loved and they want to be validated as, a person. And I used to think that, oh, if you cheat, you're like the worst type of person. I don't think that anymore, because there's so many layers to why someone cheats. Like how hypersexuality is forced on boys. And we just think it's normal. Like if a boy's super horny all the time, watching porn all the time, we think that's normal because that's what boys do. That's not normal. And yes, you can be a sexual being. I'm not saying you don't have sex ever. I'm saying you can be a sexual being, but when you are ready, when you want to be, when you feel in a safe space where you could do that, and a good age too. I feel like 15 and below is horrible, and take it from me, okay? Take it from me, the fucking big sister who has so many regrets and not regrets, but like I made a lot of mistakes and I wish that I didn't. I wish I didn't lose my virginity when I was, in my tweens. I was raped, yeah, but at the time I thought that I was just some dirty whore girl because I did it. I didn't understand. And maybe that's you right now. You think like, oh yeah, I fuck bitches, get money. It's okay to admit to yourself that any sexual encounter or whatever that you didn't like that. It's okay. And if no one else believes you, I believe you. Because I know what it feels like to not be believed. And I think that a lot of other girls agree. And they don't want to hurt boys. Not the little boys, not the children, not the 17-year-olds and below or whatever. And I feel like that's what being, one of my feminine qualities, I guess. Being a educator, nurturer, forgiving. But then again, like, it's all made up. Yeah. If you're a boy and you're pressured into doing anything that you don't want to do, please be secure in yourself and please respect your body. It's the only one you get. Thank you for listening to this episode of Malcriada Thoughts of a Girl in a Sick World, and what a sick world it is. This was your host, Claudia Melgarejo, signing off.